until firmware version 7 and 6. So upon downloading those firmware, we can receive, we can upload ISO files from our portal regarding the softwares. So it will look like this. Uh, they were they were in ISO files, so it's like a virtual CD-ROM for uploading purposes. So for example, you downloaded the 8.2 R3, just double click the uh, ISO file and it will open the folder for that installer. So the installer can be seen only in this SMP software and tools folder, SMP tools, then the execution apps for that installer. Just double click the execution apps. Then for me, since the software detected that I installed already this version pack, I have these options. But if you install the software as a first time, you can only see an option here as install the complete version. Sure you want to answer yes. So that's the installer of the device. So I think for all the deliveries, the factory is providing also a USB stick for every device for that for just a copy for the installer, but you can download that available in the internet. So once the software was installed, uh, the software itself will generate an automatic folder directory for all the documentation related to the software. So for the SMP tools, we have this Eton SMP Gateway documentation directory folder that is being created for the software. So in this folder, you can see different versions if you install different version packs for the SMP tools. So on my case, I have 5 versions of SMP firmwares being installed in this virtual machine. So what I did here is I installed the 8.3 R1 version as a full install software, and the rest 8.2 R3 R4, 8.2 R3, 8.2 R2, and 8.1 R4. I just installed that only as a version pack. You can validate that by checking your SMP manager tool applications. So if you go to help and uh, check on the about SMP, this means that my SMP manager application tool uh, installed the full version pack for the 8.3 R1. So it's up to the user if what version they want to install as a full version for their software application. But we usually recommend to use the latest firmware version. So in this case, we are now at the 8.3 R1. Main purpose of those old version packs is that we may have different versions in different sites. So the gateway may be installed in different times. That's why we collect all those version packs as a software tool. If you have an engineering laptops, it is recommended to install the latest version as a full version for the SMP tool application, then install the old uh, firmware as a version packs. So the SMP Eton SMP tools folder is also created when the software was installed. These are the SMP tools, the applications included in the SMP Manager tool. So we can see here the event translator, SMP loader, SMP manager, and this Cooper Power System folder. This is the license activator. So this has something to do with the uh, license activator in line with the Visual TND. So when you first receive the device, so and after installing the software, opening the software, you can see this blank page for the SMP tools. So the first thing to do with the device is to access it via its USB console port. So every device that you will going to receive in the future may have include the USB cable for its USB console port access. So first and foremost, you need to access that via the USB consoles. There's no other way to access the device by not using that USB console port. So I have here on my table a device which is the SG4250 model. So if you first to connect the device using the USB console port, I will just transfer the connection of my USB to my virtual machine. The SMP manager will automatically detect the USB that's being connected to your machine with SMP manager tool. So it will look like this one. So just
Louis,
accept.
sorry for the interruption. I have a question.
What's that? Hello?
It will. Uh, yes, Louis, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, my question is how to know the username and password? How do you know?
Username and password in the
SMP
when you
manager.
when you open the SMP manager.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no default there's no default username and password created. So you can just proceed. You can just ignore that window.
Okay.
Yeah. Since it's your first to access the SMP manager, there's still no configured in this local security database, so you could just ignore that one. That the window that pop ups regarding the user name and password access is in line with this local security database on the SMP manager device. Have you tried the one you have, the SMP4 you have in your office?
Yes. We connected
Okay.
the device and it's working, I think.
Okay. So so for this one, I'm expecting that when you receive the device, you will notice that the versions of your devices were old and that's the up to date one. So we will just update that one. You could just easily update those versions in the future. So for this for my case, uh, since I already detected the device connected to my machine, and I have this kind of status license validation failed. So meaning I may have a expired license on the device. I have an old version in the device. So what should I do first is to update the firmware of the device. So in updating the firmware, you just go to the update tab on the SMP tools
Mm-hmm.
and just update the firmware. And there another window pop up. So if you install many version packs in your engineering machine, you can see you have some drop down list here. So in my case, I have one, two, three, four, five firmware versions. So I'm planning to upgrade that into 8.2 or 3.
We are getting only one options. And what is the version number?
We get only one, and that is 8.3 R1.
R1.
Yeah, okay. That's just okay because you installed only one version in your laptop machine, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah. So I may try to share other version after our call and try to install that also in your machine. Then you can see that tomorrow you have already other version list here.
Okay.
So I may share use other versions, firmware versions later. So if you update the firmware, just choose what version you want, then just click OK. So the device will automatically update itself. I think it may just take maybe a minute to update the firmware. So you can see here the progress of its updating.
IP address. Default version চলে গেছে। Default to R3. আমি কোনটা করছি? Default to R3. I think we've done.
By the way, there's also different versions of the documentation depending on the firmware version. So just be cautious on that because sometimes if you're using 8.3 R1 and you're using an 8.2 R2 documentation, sometimes it doesn't match on what is happening on the software. If you notice here, I have different documentations depending on the firmware versions. So all the concept applies also with the SMP IO. So they were using the same tools, but you need also to install the specific versions, firmware versions available for the SMP IO. So if you notice, if I go back to my solutions portal, there's a separate uh, there's a separate information here about the SMP IO devices. This one, distributed IO and RTU upgrade solutions. So if I go to the distributed IO, I can see here version 2, 2.0, 1.6, and 1.5 for the SMP IO. So I need also to install, say, if I choose to install 2.05, if I choose to use the 2.0 R2 version for my SMP IO, I need also to install that firmware in my machine.
No, you have to take this. You the passport is 4250 in terms of 40p.
Mr. Louis,
Yes,
yeah, is it possible to upgrade or downgrade the firmware version in the software?
uh, update and downgrade.
Yeah.
Yes. Actually, the
Okay.
one that I'm using right now, the device that I'm using right now, I've just downgraded that to 8.0 and 8.1 R1 this morning.
Okay. So if I have one project file, say 8.3, and if I want to use it by 8.2, so in the
Yes,
software it will show one pop-up window to downgrade this one.
uh, n- uh, yes and no, depending on how you, where did you get the config? So
Okay.
say in your current site you're using 8.3 R1. If you downloaded that config, you need to convert that to the lower version to use to the other site.
Okay, so that same project file will open with the same different versions, huh?
Yes, yes. So
Okay.
what I mean is, for example, if you have a config, for example, this one, I can easily check the version. For example, I have 8.2 R4, and if I want to use that to 8.1 R1, I will just open that with OpenWid. Then I will choose the version, say 8.1 R4. I will open the config, then I will save that into that 8.1 R4.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not has to do the machine and go for it was 4250. The different firmware is not a option based. Not on the enter firmware. After the US European to 40p.
Minus that. So so the upgrade was already done. So now I can see my device is already in 8.2 R3. So I've done the firmware update. Never mind the status. We will just discuss that later. So the next thing that you need to do is to configure the network of our gateway.
Bharat bhai,
I think I lost my connection, I guess.
Bharat bhai,
হ্যাঁ ভাই শুনতেছি
হ্যাঁ, ও কি কন্টিনিউ করবে নাকি আপনারা কোনো কাজ করতেছেন এখানে?
হ্যাঁ করুন কন্টিনিউ
আচ্ছা, ঠিক আছে। Okay, Mr. Louis, you
Hey,
can
Tanzir,
continue.
did you ask something, Tanzir? I think
No,
I
no, no.
lost my connection.
Yeah, I'm saying you can continue.
Okay. So the next thing that you will need to do is to configure the network of our device. So now I'm just accessing it via the USB console port. So in configuring the network, just select the device. You can do right click, properties, or you can select the device, then go to the tab SMP device, configure network setting. So in this case, I can access here the different ports, communication ports available in my SMP device. So the software itself will automatically detect or identify what communication module is included in the hardware. So for my device, I have two built-in Ethernet ports. Then I have a communication module that was located in my slot D, D1, D2, D3, and D4. If I go to their properties, I could assign IP address for those specific ports. So by default, all those ports were disabled. If you see that there's no assigned IP address, it automatically means that those ports were disabled. So in this case, I will just configure my init D1 192.168.10.108. I will just use here the default subnet. So if you have the option to assign the default gateway where or a default gateway or say router where the gateway is connected, or if you have a specific port switch where all the gateway in RTU is connected, you can specify here as the default gateway. And there's a tab here for an advanced option. So if you go into that advanced option, you can see here the assigned IP address. You can add, so each port in the SMP gateway, you can add, I think, up to 8 subnet, different subnet IP ports. No, not IP ports, IP address. For that, the same port. It's like your port will be acting as a router. You can do that with the SMP gateway ports. So I will just use the .10.108 IP address for my device. 192.168.10.108. Init T1. So just send that configuration to the gateway so I can assigning IP. So I will just put some notes. So I will be restarting my device. So I will just add some notes. Then we will just check that later using the SMP tools. just connect over. Okay, done. So now I have already assigned an IP address to my Enet D1 port. So I want to add that I want to add my SMP device in my SMP manager. So just use this small box on the upper left. So I will just name that as SG4250. Then I will going to use the IP address that I assigned to my init D1 port. That 168.10.108. So use SMP version as SMP device. So if you don't know, for example, if you don't know the firmware versions of your device that you will going to add in your SMP manager, just use this option. Use same version as SMP device. But if you know that you have also the option of drop down disk here. So those available drop down disk here is available only if you have other versions installed in your machine. So we'll just add that. So in this case, my SMP manager detected already that since I physically connected already the init D1 port to my machine, it automatically detected that the device was already in my network. So now I could remove now my connection to my USB console port and just use the network connection. So since I added my device already in my list, even though I close all my apps relating to my SMP manager, that device is already in my list. So I have already inventory of all my devices if I have so many devices here. So I may just use the USB access if I have some commissioning activity, troubleshooting activity. But the main goal here is to add your device in the network as well as in your SMP manager list of devices. So have you managed to add your SMP4 in your SMP manager? Have you tried adding that one or?
So actually we are working with SMP4DP and we are not getting all the options you are getting at your side.
Okay.
So, do we see two
But-
options there?
But have you add the SMP4 like this one in your SMP manager list of devices? Have you managed to do that or?
Actually, we are doing that in another computer. Let me check that.
Okay.
Yes, we add one another as your same name and that IP address, which one is written in our device 192.168.10.125. The status is showing.
But have you connected it via network or not?
Is there any symbol that to understand that we are connected or not?
If you notice, if the icon box here is flashing green, meaning to say you are connected. If
That USB, that icon
The-
is flashing, but which one is newly added, that one not flashing. Okay. Which one is newly added? That one not blinking.
এখানটা
ও আচ্ছা আচ্ছা।
So I've just added one device here as an example. So if I don't have a connection, I could see this kind of icon in my device. It's flashing red only. And I couldn't get any status or any information from the local configuration, platform version, security, description, firewall, etc. So that's the difference of being connected and not connected.
Yes, true.
Yeah.
Your second one is matched with our one.
Okay.
কিন্তু ওটার সাথে আমরা একটা শিফট দিয়ে এই ইয়ে দিয়ে ইউএসবি দিয়ে এটা ব্লিঙ্ক করছেন।
ওটা ব্লিঙ্ক করছে না, USB টা ব্লিঙ্ক করছে যেটা যেটা ব্লিঙ্ক করার কথা ওর তারপরে আমরা
By the way, have you configured the net? Have you
কারণ কি ডিভাইস এটা এসে
have you configured also the network of your machine with the same subnet or not yet?
it on SMP device is
Yeah, just try that one. Just try to add your SMP4 via network in your SMP manager. Just to familiarize with the network settings.
Yes, in my network connection, I saw that there is a network 5. It's connected with a Eton SMP device.
Okay.
I go for status.
ये कर स्क्रीन शेयर कर दो
And this Eton SMP at my network properties, that TCP version 4, that properties, it's a IP address automatically. Need to put IP address manually.
শেয়ারের ব্যবস্থা করে
Screen share ব্যবস্থাটা করতে হবে।
ভালো হয় না ওর সাথে সাথে দেখে ফেললাম
রাত ভাই,
জি ভাই,
আপনি হচ্ছে আপনার ওই ইয়ের আইপিটা ম্যানুয়ালি দেন, দিয়ে তারপর হচ্ছে ওকে করেন, কানেক্ট হয়ে যাবে আশা করা যায়।
You need also to configure the machine with the same subnet with the IP address you assign to your SMP4 device.
okay, I will
So
put
so in my case, in my machine, I use the .10.200. In my SMP, I use the .10.108, the same subnet.
Hey, Louis, I'm going to share my screen so that
Okay.
you can see
Yeah,
what
yeah.
we are doing.
Yeah. Yeah, let's try that. So that
শেয়ার করা অবস্থায় করে তাহলে ও দেখবে কোনো ইস্যু হলে সাথে সাথে একটা পাবে ফিডব্যাক পাবে শেয়ার দেন করে দাও
ফরদা স্ক্রিন শেয়ার হচ্ছে না?
চেষ্টা করতেছি
Okay. I can see now. Yeah, just try to establish first the connection to your USB.
Come again.
Can you try to connect the USB? I just want to.
Select USB. Yeah, I selected then.
So, is it physically connected? Because this that it was not
Yes, device is
connected.
connected.
Yeah, there's still no connection between the SMP and the machine.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Then can you check the SMP device on the uh, tab tab of SMP device?
Yes, there is an IP address on the top of the device.
Yeah,
Tap করতে হবে, tap উপর না থাকো।
yeah. Just select the USB.
Yeah, select.
Then go to SMP device. Configure network setting. Okay. Okay, so you configure two. So in this case, you want to configure two adapters with the same subnet. Is that what you want to do, or
So this one beforely they edited this one. Beforely we got already this one. We
Okay.
got two.
yeah, okay. Actually, yeah, you can do this, but uh, I just want to know why it was configured with the same subnet. But anyway, you can use that.
Do you want me to remove one Ethernet adapter 2?
Yes, yes,
Or keep the both?
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, just send that to the gateway.
Is it
Okay.
okay?
Yeah,
Okay.
just apply.
And like I thought, enter the method. Enter one event.
Then can you go to the SG4250 divide, the one that you added, that one? Okay. Then can you check the properties for me? Okay, okay. Yeah, you're doing it right. Okay. Then do you have another do you have Ethernet cable connected to your ENET1 in the SMP4? That cable?
No. আছে না?
এখানে আছে মনে হয়।
এখানে সব পোর্ট আছে কিন্তু
এই যে এগুলো আছে ফ্রি অবস্থা কানেক্ট করে দিয়ে আমাদের অপশনটা দিয়ে
কেবল তো আছে কানেক্ট পাওয়ার লাগবে কি?
হ্যাঁ পুরো
নাকি দুই মাথা খোলা এরকম কেবল আছে কিনা? কি দুই মাথা লাগবে? ওখান থেকে ইথারনেট পোর্টও দিতাম আমার পোর্টে।
our device is connected via the USB port of the laptop. सबसे is that okay?
Yes, you need a LAN cable connecting the Ethernet 1 that you configured to your laptop to so that you could establish that your SMP device is already in the network. Because now you're just connecting using USB. So
Right.
USB is just for maintenance purposes, commissioning purposes. So the USB is not the one we were going to use in deploying the SMP gateway in the network. So we will use a LAN cable for that one.
না ওইটার সাথে মনে হয় জিজ্ঞেস করা কনফিগারেশন কমিশনিং এই এর ওই মাথাটা দাও ল্যাপটপের সাথে লাগাও
ওই মাথা ওই মাথা তো নাই।
মানে এটার সাথে কানেক্ট হয়ে গেল নেটওয়ার্কের সাথে আছে
ওই মাথা না ও চাচ্ছে
নেটওয়ার্কের সাথে
আমার এখান থেকে ওখানে গিয়ে হবে ওরকম কেবল তো আমাদের এখন
আচ্ছা জিজ্ঞেস করে পাওয়া যাবে তো ইয়েকে
রাস্তা টপটা কিনে তখন তো
ল্যাপটপের সাথে ইয়ে করে বলতেছে এই যে
ও আচ্ছা হ্যাঁ আমার তো ওই কনভার্টারটা লাগবে কনভার্টার তো আছে ল্যাপটপে আবার ওই পোর্টই উঠে দিতে হবে পোর্টের বাইরে কনভার্টার ব্যবহার করতে
বলে রাখছে কমন নাই করতে পারছে ইনস্টেড অফ স্ক্রিন এটা কি আমরা সে একটা দেখছে
আমাদেরকে পাঠাইছে
আমরা যেটা ইন্টার পরে 8.3 আমার 0 আমাদের যে প্রোডাক্ট দেখছি আমরা কি করেছি আমাদের কোম্পানি কাজ ছেড়ে একদম না শুরু করতে ইনফ্লুয়েন্স
স্যার
হ্যালো
স্যার শুনতে পাচ্ছেন?
হ্যাঁ শুনতে পাচ্ছি
এটা কি স্যার হচ্ছে মানে কানেক্ট হওয়ার পরে ওর সাথে কন্টিনিউ করবেন স্যার, নাকি ওটা আমরা পরে নিজেরা ট্রাই করবো ও কন্টিনিউ করবে?
এটা আমিও ভালো বুঝছি না এখন এটা কি বলে দেখা যাক
মানে আমি এখন চিন্তা করছি হচ্ছে যে মানে বেশিক্ষণ ওয়েট করার আবার পরে বিরক্ত হয়ে বলা
সময়
আজকের মতো
নষ্ট হচ্ছে।
শেষ করে দেয় কিনা।
হুম
আপনি যেটা ইয়ে করেন স্যার,
হ্যাঁ আমরা গো থ্রু করি পরে আমরা
গোছু করি আর এটা শেষ হওয়ার পরে দেখি পরে আবার একসাথেই মানে শেষ হওয়ার পরে আমি অফিসের দিকে যাবো না, একসাথে পরে আবার ট্রাই করবো স্যার সহ, ঠিক আছে?
ঠিক আছে
ঠিক আছে ওটাই ভালো হবে
তাহলে কি বলি মিস্টার লিউ
ওকে মিস্টার লুই,
মিস্টার লি
Yes.
I think we should go ahead with our the software versions
Okay.
and we can leave this demo because it's not actually matching with the product what we have ordered. So we can do it later on, but you can continue with your software explanations.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, we can upgrade that. So it's not really a issue on the firmware.
Okay, I mean, you can go the because it will take some time and we are having some problem with the device.
Okay.
And Mr. Louis, can we suggest for something if possible? So you can make a tutorial video for connecting the 4260 and just share that video with us because anyway we have only 4DP.
Okay.
But we'll do
Okay.
4260. So just
Okay.
show
Let
us how to
me
connect
check
that.
on that. I think I have someone here, some videos of that. Hmm. I'm going to share to you this video. Let me just check if there's an audio for this one. Yeah, okay. I think I could share this video to you.
না থাকলে বেতন ইন্টারনেট ইন্টারনেট কেবল ওগুলো দিতে হবে লাগবে কারণ আমাদের তো কেবল
So I will just share to you the video before I will send that once I've done with this one. So I may just discuss this one. So now I've how to resolve this protocol field in my config. So if you notice, I have two uh, active status in my SMP manager. So it's because I have physically connected via USB to my SMP device as well as a LAN uh, connection between my Ethernet ports. That's why I have two connections here. So if I remove the USB, I could establish only the network connection using the LAN cable on the Ethernet Ethernet one that I configured. So I think you only have one connection with your device. That's why you could not establish the connection with the network.
Right.
Yeah. So regarding the status protocol failed, so I think before I update the firmware, I already have a invalid license in my device. So I've done already the update of firmware. Now I'm going to update the license also of my device. So the license of our devices is will look like this one. By default, we don't have a copy of those license of our device. So once you receive the item, it was already embedded in the device. But if you ever need to have a copy of that license, you could just request that one to us. We could provide the copy file of those license. So the format of our license were just a text file. I will show you example. So this is a text file. So if you request a copy of the license of your device, we will send you a text file similar to this one. So if you open the text file, you can see here the uh, SMP gate, the company name. If for example the customer is Nesco, we can see here Nesco, the license ID number, and some key code. This one, and also the included parameters in the license like the maximum number of control center, maximum number of devices, maximum number of class 1, 2, 3 protocol, and maximum number of class 1, 2, 3 master protocol. So for us, since this is our internal sales license, we have unlimited both for master and slave. So this vary depends on the license purchased by the client. This one, as well as the this one you may not see this one because if the client purchase a license, there's no expiration for their license. It's perpetual already. So for us internally, we are implementing every 6 months internal license for us Eton employees. And you can see here also the list of those module included in the software. So the pass-through, if you remember the pass-through server in the software application, so that's the one. The redundancy license, that's the one. SNMP, the automation function, and the list of those available master protocol. So those were the complete list of those available protocol. So this is the example of the license of our devices. So I will just update the license of my device. So same process with the updating the firmware. Update, then update license. Then another window pop up. I will just browse. So the SMP manager will detect the existing license of my device. So in this case, I have this existing license, which has an expiration last June 2024. So I will replace that one. So since I have the copy, I could just browse that file. Just locate that file.
License file is was removed.
Then I already located the file and just push the license to the device. So updating the license requires an update of the SMP device application as well. Would you like to perform it now? Yes. So I will going to share the video. I will going to share you also our internal license. This one, the license that I use so that you can play. You can use that in your SMP device so that you can play some of the available protocols. Just try to I think the first exercise here is try to add your SMP device in your SMP manager, like the one I did for this one. Try to update the firmware. I've seen you use 8.3 R1, so try to update the firmware of your SMP4 to 8.3 R1. Then try to change the license using our sales license. I will going to share that to you after this call. So I'm just putting some notes here so that every time I restarted my device, I'm just putting some notes here. So same with the SMP IO, we have also the same format for the license of our SMP device. So if you request a license copy of your IO device, we will also providing the same file. It's a text format file. So I have here an IO sales license. So if you go inside, you can see the same format, license ID, the key code. This is the key code, the signature from the factory, and the available protocol, and the number of master and slave. But for the IO, actually, it doesn't matter for the IO because you only have 61850 and DNP for the SMP IO. This one. By default, you only have this one, DNP and 61850. Okay, so I have already, okay. So I'm still getting the protocol failed. So I updated the firmware, I updated the license, but I still getting the protocol failed. So what I'm going to do now is try to check the existing configuration of my device. So if I'm going to select my device, then I could just do right click, get config, or I can go here, update, get config. So this is the existing gateway of my device, sample default config. So I will just save that in the default uh, directory of my SMP config. So I will just save it here and close. So there's a pop-up window here, current directory. Do you want to assign a new file to this SMP device? So I will just click yes. So this means that if I'll go to the properties of my device, it will associate that directory in my SMP device. So this is the one. If you check the directory here, I can see here the sample default config.par directory. So I will open the config, SMP config. That directory is here, document, SMP manager config file, sample config. If since I get the config from my existing device, if I will going to check its version, it's still at 8.1 R1. It is not automatically converted to the firmware that I upgraded into my device. So what I'm going to do is I will going to convert this 8.1 R1 into 8.2 R3 version, just to make it the same with the existing current version of my device. So now I open a config using 8.2 R3. So I will just save that one. Then do you want to save the file in its current state? Yes. Okay. Then you can close the existing config, or you could just minimize and just update the configuration file of your device. Update, send config. So this is the one, 5:23 p.m. So I will just send that configuration file to the device. Updating the config from 8.1 R1 to 8.2 R3. So if you this kind of icon, so meaning there's a process being made to the SMP gateway. You may sending a configuration file, or you may maybe updating a firmware or updating a license. So that's the icon that you can see on the SMP manager. USB. Okay, registering component, loading components. So now, status is now started, expiry date 12/2024. So I can see an expiry date here because of my license, but in your case, if you have the exact license, you can only see here as a started status, no expiry date. So in this case, I have my SMP device with updated firmware, updated license, and a blank configuration file. So I didn't make any yet in the configuration. So I've just used the existing config, converting that from the 8.1 R1 version to the 8.2 R3 version. So in the SMP manager, we have here the tools. So we can see here the available tools module available on the SMP software. SMP config used for configuring master instance protocol 61850 config. We have the SMP Connect for remote engineering access, the pass-through server module. So that's the tool for that one. The SMP log, you can see all the logs happening on the SMP gateway, like restart, security logs. You can use that module. SMP stats. The SMP trace is the tool for similar to a protocol analyzer. So this is where you can see the data exchanges in the real-time data exchange inside the gateway, the protocol exchanges, the communication exchanges. This is the tool for that one. The SMP console, the web HMI for the built-in local and remote HMI for the SMP 4260, and the SMP diagram for the creation of diagram for the built-in HMI SLD for the SMP. So these are basically the useful tools that we can use for the SMP manager. The update tab here is just the sending and getting configuration, the update. If you want to restore at a factory settings for the device, send file options is also available here. If you were sending a built-in diagram on the gateway for a local HMI, that's the one. For the security tab, this is where if you want to create those user accessing the SMP gateway, if you notice when you open the SMP manager tool, there's a window popping up regarding the user access. So this is where you can create those kind of security for the device. Redundancy tab, this is where you will going to configure two gateways in a redundancy setup. So for example, if I have two gateways connected and I want to configure that as a redundancy, this is where I'm going to configure that in a grouping setup wherein I will going to create a virtual IP for that two devices. And the last tab here is the help button wherein if you want to check for the versions of your tool, if you want to access the manual, opening it from the SMP manager, you can use that one. SMP device tab is similar to the tab or window that you can access if you select the device and just right click. You can see the same options here, the start and stop polling of status, setting the time, the properties. It's the same. If ever you encountered some problems with the SMP device, and we usually request a report coming from your end, so this is where you can create that report. So the SMP will create an internal report wherein it will collect all the logs, the stats, the traces if you recorded some traces. So it will create that one and generate that in a single zip file. So you can send that to us for evaluation purposes. The license information of the SMP device. So for this one, the one that I showed to you earlier regarding the license, this one is also this one. If I'm going to access the license information here, just the same. So, this is the key code, this is the key code, and this is the one that was pushed to the SMP device. and some view options for the customization of the SMP software. So you can use this one. If you want to organize the SMP device in a tree view, we can do that. For example, if I will just change that for me. I want to customize the view of my device. So I could just if I want to organize it per site, so I could do that with my SMP manager tool. So for this one, I've just organized it as a Philippine devices, or it's just a matter of customization for the view tab. And the file menu is for adding and removing device. So if I want to remove this one, for example, I will just use this one for the file. So any question so far with the tool? So I may be planning to pause here and continue tomorrow, revisiting what I did now in a detailed manner. So we could try that tomorrow to do it in your SMP4 device.
Alamgir sir,
জি
is it okay for us?
আমার মাথার মধ্যে সব চলে গেছে
না না মানে ও স্যার যেটা ইয়ে বলতেছিল যে এটুকু পর্যন্ত রেখে মানে বাকিটা কালকে ইয়ে করবে আর আমরা হচ্ছে
ট্রাই করি তারপরে কালকে বাকিটা দেখাবো আজকে আমরা
হ্যাঁ
ট্রাই
হ্যাঁ
করি
আজকে আমরা ট্রাই করবো এটা বাকিটা হচ্ছে ভিতরের ফাংশনিং গুলিও কালকে দেখাবে আজকে পর্যন্ত রাখতে যাচ্ছে আর কি স্যার
ঠিক আছে
Sure, Louis. And as you requested, if possible, please share us a video showing how to connect the 4260. That would be great.
আর ওই ফার্স্ট
Yeah.
ফার্স্ট হাফে যে প্রেজেন্টেশন যে স্লাইড গুলো ছিল ওকে
And
Okay.
the slides you showed us earlier today,